Hello, so I thought I'd just record a quick video about where I'm at with the right-hand improvisation stuff, which is basically nowhere. So I just want to throw a few ideas out as to what I'm latching onto. So the first thing is, if we just take our... and we play. That's a tune, right? I don't really know how much I should be referencing that tune because these chords have gone through so many abstractions now that I'm not sure it's even at all relevant to people improvising over this. So this is where I'm at. There's some people who say I need to use the blues scale, I think, which is that, I think. But I just don't think it sounds very good. It's a bit too for me. I think that's a blues scale anyway. And also I just don't know it very well, and I don't know the little intricacies, like you need to do that kind of stuff, right? If you're doing that kind of scale. I just don't have the fingers yet. I haven't really practiced that. And I have no real desire to learn that style, like really traditional bluesy style. So my other options are, what I've heard, you play the chord tones, but I'm confused as to which chord tones you play. So if you were playing a D7, do you play those chord tones, right? So you just kind of noodle around. But again, it doesn't sound very good. Or if you're playing a 6 chord, do you play those chord tones? Basically, I'm just listening carefully, and I feel like that is a very surface level version of what I'm listening to. So I'm hearing that kind of thing when I'm hearing people improvise, but obviously with much greater dexterity and much more purpose. But I know, for example, that playing this note too much doesn't sound good, and adding too much chromaticism in the wrong place feels weird too, but I just can't tell exactly where and when. So let's stick to a G minor 7 for now to keep it simple. So I guess that's an enclosure, right? I should have gone to G. And again, should I avoid that 4? Maybe not, because it kind of leads nicely if I'm good. Not that. Kind of leads nicely to that chord. So I don't know whether to avoid the 4 on the C or to play it. So I feel like you can noodle your way through just using... There's also this note, part of the diminished 6th scale, but I'm not really using that for now in the left hand, so I'm kind of ignoring that for now. Let's just try and noodle around on those 4 chords. So. Oops, so. I used it there, I guess. So maybe I am wanting to use that, but again, I have no real sense of purpose here, and I'm very much stuck in an octave range. There's a few tricks I've heard. So the tricks are, if you're wanting to do the chord tones, you can do a thing where you, instead of keep going up and up and up, you can just kind of come down instead. So if I go B flat to D, I could go B flat to D down here instead and continue up. And that's kind of a cool effect to keep me in a certain range, I suppose. The other thing is, and I thought this was really cool and it sounds nice, is you can do a chromatic scale. But when you hit, say we're in B flat major, when you hit the semitones in the scale between the D and the E flat, in order to keep this scale kind of partially tonal, I suppose, you acknowledge those gaps with an extra note, so that kind of thing. But you can also go, but then I think you don't want to come up because it's too much of a gap. So coming down, I suppose it's like that kind of thing. That kind of thing sounds quite cool. But going up, I suppose, you need to be putting the notes above. But that going up feels a bit strange to me. So maybe you just want to keep it dead close. That's pretty nice. I'm putting one where I shouldn't. That's pretty cool, right? Oops. Too much of a gap there, no? Oh, it's because I went... Yeah. Better just with the C, I think. In there, maybe just with the F. No, but then it doesn't work. I mean, that's fine and simple, and then coming down. So if you're playing around on that. I can see how that could sound pretty cool. So that's another tool. The other one is just simply using the, I suppose, so. And there's another thing I heard, which is that if you do this swing thing going up, and you want to keep yourself on the 6 chord, so that's da da da, then going da da will actually jeopardize that. So that's why again you add this note in da da. So that on the strong beats you have there, 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 there. And then that matches the chord you're playing. And if you start on a non-chord tone, then you don't have to add that note because then it'll even out. So it'll kind of. And once you're on that train where it's you find a chord tone on it. Let's start here. No, that is a chord tone. So once you actually get to one, then you're on the train where you add the G flat. And then you've got all your notes you need there. So that's another thing. But the problem with that one is, I suppose it's the same logic, because that's still a G chord. Whatever scale, whatever chords I'm thinking of in the left hand, I suppose, do they need to be matched with the right hand, I guess, is my question. So if I've chosen to do some alternate chord here, that kind of thing, can I still do that over the G? I guess you can. I guess that's the beauty of it, that these dissonances, it's like almost bitonal in a way when you think about it. And then the dominant. The dominant is seems to be the most complicated in pretty much all aspects. So the harmony seems to be the most nebulous, and the melody stuff seems to it gives you too many options to work with. So again, I suppose you could be improvising in the, if you've got your altered chord, that kind of thing. I suppose you can just do an F sharp minor run. And if you do that, then it gets it just feels like you're in a different place in the key, no? So yeah, I'm just kind of figuring out which of these I need to focus on, I suppose. Oh, there's another one. There's another one, which is Enclosures, which I've briefly mentioned, but it's another thing that I've heard people talk about, where you find your notes of the chord you want. I'll just stick with these three because I get confused about the 7 and the 6. So on these three, it's simple. You just go above and below. In some order, you can go above then below, or below then above, I think. So and that is super confusing because in the scale there's an E flat, but I think if you use the E flat, I mean, I guess it works, but it feels a little, I feel like I'm breaking some rule about the fourth, you know. I've heard that some people raise the fourth when they're improvising just to get that out of the way, so there's those enclosures too. And again, I get confused because I think the general rule of thumb is a tone above and a semitone below. But sometimes that totally breaks the key. So if I'm doing it, let's go to the A, the 7th of the key. I guess it's fine, but it just feels like any note now is up for grabs. If I do it with the G, I think it makes a bit more sense. Then that feels a little bit more connected to the key there, right? So that's where I'm at with the right hand. I need to, I think, practice these things methodically so they're in my fingers, because I can't think in time yet. If I'm trying to do any of this stuff in time with a chord change, I can undo one at a time. So if I'm doing the enclosures, I get really confused anyway. let me try some. See, get lost. And I still don't know really what my sense of direction is. And then if I'm doing the scales, I just forget what scale I'm doing. There's also a thing I've heard called the dominant scale. Seems to be. No. I think it's that, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's that. So that's taken into consideration alongside the diminished scale, like the pure diminished scale, which is just simply tone, semitone. Which again hits all those diminished notes. And I need to give myself a cheat sheet for this, because otherwise I forget what notes I'm meant to be playing. Those two black notes and that black note. Fingering very awkward. Oh no, it's not. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. And again, I have no idea how I'm meant to do all of this stuff and also reference any kind of melody. I guess I could do enclosures around there. And But, I genuinely have no idea what I'm doing with this yet. So that's where I'm at. And I need to find some time to start practicing that seriously, I think. Any tips in the comments? Absolutely welcome. So thank you for listening and see you next time.